As public schools across the state reopen, nearly a dozen of Florida school districts will have a new commander-in-chief. As Florida 24 investigator Katie Lagrone reports, the last few years have resulted in unprecedented turnover among district superintendents. And now some have stern warnings for state leaders about injecting politics into the classroom.
Looking at a recent rally against the state's new social studies curriculum.
Enough is enough.
The new standards, which includes instruction to middle schoolers that some slaves benefited from the skills they learned while they were enslaved, is the latest school controversy in a state some criticize for injecting partisan politics into student education. The results contributing to classroom culture wars, a worsening statewide teacher shortage, and some fear a superintendent shuffle that isn't going away. In just the past 3 years, more than 45 of Florida's 67 school superintendents have left their positions as boss on campus, historic for the state.
I've talked to superintendents outside of Florida. And I mean, when they find out I'm from Florida, it's like, I don't know how you guys do it.
For the past 12 years, Kurt Browning has led the Pasco County School District. A former Florida Secretary of State and county election supervisor, Browning isn't new to the whims of partisan leadership and political agendas. But he says what began with COVID mandates over distance learning and school masks has morphed into local school districts losing control to state politicians, he says, seeking too much of it.
Leave us alone. Let us educate our kids. We know what they need to learn. We know what the standards are. You've already approved the standards. We know what needs to be done. Let us do it. Just let us do it.
In just the past 12 months, 16 Florida school districts have hired new superintendents. At least 3 are starting the new year without a permanent replacement. Former Orange County Superintendent Barbara Jenkins expects Florida's school leadership crisis to get worse.
I think you'll see fewer experienced and more qualified individuals heading to Florida, perhaps because of some of our controversy here.
Yeah, it's a highly controversial atmosphere that we're living in now.
Bill Montford leads the state's Association of District School Superintendents, which helps train and recruit new district CEOs. While he says he's been in touch with the governor's office and Florida's Commissioner of Education over the state's ongoing superintendent shuffle, he stopped short of pointing blame.
How much do they hold responsibility in causing this turnover and difficulty in recruiting not just teachers but leadership in schools?
Well, I think it would be very difficult to lay that fault, if you will, or responsibility on the leadership of the state solely. You know, public education has always been on the front lines, if you will, of controversies.
Is Florida still an attractive place for an open slot?
I'm not sure I'd want to come to Florida right now.
After more than a decade, Pasco's school chief is retiring at the end of next year. His decision, the result of multiple factors.
When you know, you know.
The truth is not a lie.
But he says Florida's current political climate is making it a little easier to know.
I don't think that superintendents or school districts need to be micromanaged. I really don't.
And these turnover issues are primarily impacting school superintendents that are appointed, not elected, which in Florida amounts to roughly half of all superintendents. I'm Katie Lagrone reporting for the Florida 24 Network.